Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio as we continue to expand. Hello to all of our viewers on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, and soon to be Zizzle TV. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is called Coexistence and Sustainability. And I have to say, just this morning as I was broadcasting, I looked out the window and I saw this rather large snake. I mean, it was pretty sizable. And a bird flying over was coming down to swoop on the snake and get it. And that snake was moving really fast. And I thought, don't they know about coexistence? I guess not. Anyway, here to tell us more, the star of our show, who does know all about coexistence and sustainability. Not only is she a pet psychic, but she's also a speaker. She's a trainer, and she is an incredible person who has a beautiful heart and beautiful spirit, and she just puts love out into the world every single day. Let's welcome pet psychic AMINAH. Hello.
Thank you so much for that blessing. Absolutely heartfelt. Thank you so much. And back at you, Dr. Jacalyn. I mean, can you believe, I haven't counted the days or times that where we all started and the work you put into creating this amazing, beautiful background and everything you've got. I am thrilled that I was there when you started. And I love it.
Beginning.
I absolutely love it because, man, you worked so hard. That first year was really tough, at least from my perspective. It's like, oh, she upgraded another thing. Oh, she made it another better thing. And it's just been a privilege, absolute privilege.
Well, thank you. And thank you for taking the journey with me. As I mentioned, you've been here since the very beginning. I think this is episode 166. I'm not really sure. But
I don't know how
amazing. It's amazing. So we started out with a different title for the show, and we morphed into coexistence and sustainability. What do you think about the story I shared about the snake and the bird?
Oh, absolutely. because somebody's going to win. And what does winning look like? Well, it depends on the game you're playing. If it's who gets to live longer, the snake has a few notches on a few animals, but their ability to coexist and to also know where their limit is. You don't see a snake going and killing 9 birds. They can't eat 9 birds over because they have no fridge. Let me be clear. They could eat 9 birds, but they don't have a way to preserve it or keep it away from the bugs and all the things that are going to eat a dead carcass. That's what this world is amazing at, is taking their resources and everything being used for something. Meaning when you see an animal dying or already passed, whatever that animal is, please, please, please leave it to the soil, because this is how natural world makes sure that soil and the plants which feed the animals and this cycle gets support. So with the rain and an animal's carcass there, all of that nobody ate Twinkies every day body is going to refill the ground and the place where plants who everybody needs to eat, etc., are going to now make better soil. Nobody's body or carcass, however you want to address a dead person, animal, or whatever, none of that is wasted. The world doesn't waste anything. They will let it biodegrade into the soil and enrich what all the other plants and animals need. So think about that next time you decide to, I don't know, throw your trash on the ground. Things like cigarette bits are really, really hard on the native world, the natural world. They don't biodegrade. And if they do, it's going to take years. So in my world, that just doesn't biodegrade. So please be careful with your trash. Be careful with your cigarette butts. Be careful with whatever you know that shouldn't actually be down on the ground. We all have things that get away from us and the wind blows or something like that. I get into a lot of trouble with my family because I go pick up all of that stuff. Now I go wash my hands, but I also will come and pick up that cigarette butt, even though I don't smoke, because I can, and I probably have a bag or some place to put it that keeps it, so I'm not getting sick or giving illness to somebody else.
A question I have for you in reference to what you just shared.
Mm-hmm.
So if we happen to see a dead animal, just leave it. Don't intervene.
No, absolutely just leave it, because that's a natural occurrence. Cigarettes are not natural. Somebody makes them, and it's all kinds of, from the outside of the cigarette to the inside of this tobacco. The tobacco is probably the only part that really will biodegrade, but what a cigarette is held in, it's not. It's another foreign body that you're expecting the ground to absorb. That's. I mean, if it can, let's say you lose a gum wrapper. I don't know about you, but we've all unwrapped something and it just blew away. And for me, I'm like, oh no, and I can't catch it, or it went into the lake or off a cliff or something. It's like, well, I'm not getting that. And I really feel bad because I know it's not going to biodegrade. Or if it does, it's going to take months, years, decades. And this is how archaeologists actually study prehistory. What did the caveman eat? Well, they look at what feces they can find, people and animal. All of this is traceable. Is that a good thing? No, not really. Not for nature. So think about that next time when a wrapper gets away from you. Please try to go get it. I mean, if it puts you in danger, maybe not.
Fantastic. So for people who are just tuning in, if you see anything roadkill or some kind of animal, just leave it be. Don't go and intervene in any way.
Well, yeah, it would be dangerous. What I'd love to see is people get them out of the road, because you're going to get wildlife who will go out in the road and play car dodging to get that food, because it's a food source. And I don't know about you, but if I had to kill my food every day, yeah, I might choose to walk out in that big old what we call a road, that big old space where there's no dirt, and there's no rain, and there's no puddles. You can see other predators coming for miles away. Yeah, I would probably go, hey, free food. I'm going out there. And they don't drag it off. That's not typical, but if they understand the cars keep zooming by, yeah, they'll probably drag it off. But remember, that's how so many animals get killed again and again and again, or they get hit by cars, and it can kill you also. I don't know if any of you have hit a deer lately, even a buck, which is a male. It literally could kill you. Not only the deer dies, but you could really injure yourself and your car and everything like that, because they're very powerful, big animals. And they might take their horns and their rack of horns and try to fight off the car, because they don't understand that. So try to understand where you are and what the topography is, what the plants are, and then choose your path of how you'll react if something happens. Because I promise you, if it's between you and a deer, you might lose. So please watch where you're driving, and try not to, get distracted and or feel like, oh, I can just take this deer out. Yeah, it's a 50-50 chance that you'll lose. So please be careful out there.
And speaking of being careful, let's talk about when you're going for a walk and your dog is sniffing around, and
Yep.
you see these foxtails. And what is it that we should know about foxtail? What is it, and how can it impact our pets?
I'm going to run right to the end, and then we're going to back in, because I really want to scare the jeebers out of all of you. A foxtail is teeny tiny little. It looks like a piece of wood, like a sliver. You know how you get sliver? We get slivers in our hands when we're out in the yard and doing things, and we're not wearing gloves or whatever. And they have the teeny tiny little foxtail. And it looks, if you look at it from a different distance or even close up, you're just thinking, oh, it's just a teeny little piece. Think of your toothbrush and the brush itself. That's about how big a foxglove is. I don't know, Dr. Jacalyn, if you were able to load the pictures I sent you, but either way, you guys can look this all up. They are in the goldish yellow color, kind of like a piece of wood. What you don't realize is they are meant to burrow. Now, this is a plant, but the way it's put together, it's meant to burrow. So not only wildlife, but your kids, yourself, all of these, they can all of a sudden burrow into your skin also. Might take a little bit longer, but it's really life killing for pets, because they will get in their ears, they'll get it in their side. That's why it's so important to check your pets when you come back from a walk. And what do I mean by check? Pet them all over. They'll love it, and so will you. It's good therapy. But what you're looking for are things like foxglove. You've got to be looking. And we're talking about this teeny tiny little thing. So you need to have your fingers so you can feel like, oh, what would it feel like if I had the lead, just the lead of a pencil under your skin? It's that small. It's really that small. And they're all over the place. Right now, where I reside, they're out my front door. Luckily, our cats are all indoors, because pets they get them in their feet, and they can literally burrow up, Dr. Jacalyn, up the foot, up here, and guess where it ends up?
In their
heart.
Heart.
Yeah, and hearts don't like stickers. Nobody does. But once it starts that travel and you don't know it's there and you don't see it and the irritation possibly that the skin's going through, you didn't have that time from here to stop it. So it can kill your pets, and it's going to be slow and horrible. It's not necessarily painful, but it's going to go in. And I don't know you, if I had something poking into my skin, much less my heart or my fingers, I might notice. I might.
Right.
And that's the conversation. And when you bring your pets in from walks, what all of us trainers, vets, everybody will say is check your pet. Start at the feet, check the ears. Those are the two easiest places to get in between the toes and the ears. And then guess what? Brush them down. Get a really good grooming brush that kind of pulls the shedding hairs out. Yay for us. No more shedding in the house or wherever. And get a really good brush. Any of the pet stores, or Google it. Better yet, if you have all of us should have vets, and you could ask them, hey, do you have a brush you recommend for my dog or my cat or that? We have one cat. She's very fluffy. She's just very fluffy everywhere, where the other two aren't really very fluffy. Does that mean I go to her first? No. First of all three of my cats are indoors permanently, and I brush my fingers through them constantly, and they think they're getting a massage. But what I'm doing is I'm checking them, because I go outside and I garden, and we have, Dr. Jacalyn, I hope you didn't get hated those pictures I sent, but those are from the tree that is right outside my front door. So can you imagine all of the foxgloves I potentially bring into my house? Luckily, we don't wear shoes in our house. So if I stepped on any of them, or they stuck to my clothes, that I probably wouldn't notice. But my shoes stay down at the front door. And then we come in. You have to think about those steps. If you're going to go for a hike, especially if you're going to go like in the desert, they have tumbleweeds. If you've never seen tumbleweed, it's a big weed that dries and rolls all over the place, but has little thorns all over it. So it's possible that you could get them in your clothes, and your cat sits on your lap, or your dog, and that sticker goes in. Can you imagine how difficult that would be? You'd get a magnifying glass. You'd first have to know it's there. That's why it's so important when your pets come in from a walk, dog, cat, lizard, whatever you got, please take the moment, do it as a love fest, and go, oh, we had such a good time. And you can just run your hands through slowly but repetitively on all parts of their body. Splay their toes. What's really great is you're building also a relationship of trust that God forbid that they get hit by a car and you need to scoop them up and you got a scared animal, but you build that trust that they're like, oh no, they got my back. Oh no, I've been handled before. When you have a new pet, put your hands between their toes. I'm talking cat, dog, lizard, whatever. When they're used to being handled and used to being touched, when these foxgloves or any other sticker decides to burrow into their body, and it's going to be sore and it's going to get infected the longer it stays, this is going to be vital for you to be able to either try to get it out or know that it's there and can get to the vet. And they can soak it, all that kind of stuff, soak it in water. I don't know about you. Our cats will not let me soak their paws. I can get them wet, and then they look at me like, what are you doing? And they run away. But the dogs are a little bit easier. You got to have a plan. These little slivers will literally get into the body, and it can go into the heart, which could kill them.
Head Psychic AMINAH, thanks for sharing that. I was wondering if you can take a few minutes to actually talk about some of the behavior traits. Maybe it's movements, maybe it's overall mood, tone, sounds that your dog would make if they are in pain. If people aren't aware of it, there's obviously some kind of traits that they'll make. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Anything, when you get to know your pet, when you first are adopting and first are the little puppy, kitty, whatever bird you get, there's a whole learning curve. It would be the same thing as you're going to get married. You found the guy, you found the girl, you're going to marry that one. But if you hadn't dated, gone to dinner a few times, see if they, have food everywhere on their body, especially if that really bothers you. I think it should bother most of us. Or you don't know how they feel about, I don't know, somebody who smokes in the family, somebody who is gay or bi or this or that. There's 100 reasons why people don't like other people. Pets have the same thing they're much more loving and giving. So you've got to be able to go over and splay their toes and look to see if there's any stickers when you come back from a walk. You've really got to do this every single time, because every walk could be a little rock got in their foot, and guess what? You got it on their pad, and the dog or cat will of course chew with his feet and make a physical notice of all of that. But if you don't know what to do next, for example, soak it in some warm water. I don't know about you, but my cats don't really want to do that. Dogs a little better, but you got to build that trust. You've got to build that relationship. Nothing can be healthy if you are just bossy and yelling at them and say, no, I have to do this. Stop doing this. We all have those days. But you want to build love and trust. So let's say they get a sticker in their foot, and you really, really got to get this out. So if you decide to go to the vet and have them do it, great. They will probably put a little bit of sedation in, little bit in a shot. And those are things that I don't know you, I don't have any of that type of thing around. There are different treats and foods you can try, but having trust helps. When you have pets, you need to not only hug them and love them and get them groomed, or you can be the groomer if you did. I know I did that. When I rescued a German Shepherd, that's a double coat. It's like I was brushing him all the time. But I also went and got trained as a groomer so that I would have that knowledge of how and what kind of brush and how long, because the German Shepherd had a double coat. That's a lot of brushing. That's a lot of brushing. So think about these things before you adopt, but also think about these things on, is this the person I am? Is this what I can do? And how do I best coexist with my family and my animals? Did I get it in there, Dr. Jacalyn?
Yes, you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you talk a little bit now about when it makes sense to take your dog in a carriage or a stroller as opposed to when the dog should be walking?
The older the pet, the more you should accommodate less distance in a walk. Or let's say you have to climb a hill, or you have to go through gravel. All of these things are not for the senior pet, not necessarily. Again, nothing I'm telling you is always and forever. You have to know your pet and what your situation is. But remember, your puppies and your kitties and all that pretty much are barefoot. That's not a common thing, is to put booties on them. You can do it. You can train them to it. But I don't know about you. I only know about booties, meaning they're out of fabric and they have a little tie on it. I haven't seen tennis shoes made for dogs and cats, and they know how to lace them up, or you do. So what the difference is the tennis shoe has more protection on the bottom, and the other stuff we're talking about are like a little bag. So there, everything can get through that. Rocks and the things we're talking about, all the seeds that are in the foxglove that can get through, it can happen. So you need to always make sure you go through, rub your hands through your pet's fur. that alone, everybody's going to think, man, walks are the best. We come back and you and I can call it, oh, the best massage ever. But what you have to do is you have to check between their toes. And you can't do that if your animal's not used to you handling their toes. So again, some of us just love their little toes and they'll sit on our lap or whatever and we'll rub on our toes. I have always had the ulterior motive. I was like, yeah, this is gonna need me to get in there, because sometimes even if you have a lot of scratching posts or places your pets can, run their nails over or something like that, but yet their nails grow still really long and you still need to have them trimmed. Even if you've just taken them to the vet, it doesn't mean you have to trim them, but that would be great. And you have that relationship. But you've got to be able to touch their feet. It's so important. Touch their ears. And I'm not talking about pulling anything. You got to get in there and have that trust built so that you can get it there if it's really, especially if it's really necessary. And then you can get behind them and they can trust you and go, oh no, this doesn't bother me anymore. And it's just about trying. Did I get that question at all?
Yes, you did. You're perfect. Yes.
I was like, what was that question again?
No, that was good. Another question I have for you is, we're talking about exercising with a pet, going for a walk with a pet, and also about poisonous or things that are dangerous. How much exercise, you talk about senior pets, but what about younger dogs? How much exercise makes sense? I mean, I see people where I live, the person's riding a bike and they got the dog running alongside. And I'm always thinking, I don't know about that, but any suggestions you have?
Yeah. And your vet's going to be your trainer's going to be a fabulous resource also. You're not ever out here. We all, like Dr. Jacalyn has given me a place to say, no, guys, you got to keep them on the leash. You got to do this. You got to do this. Please do this. I like to have the bird population survive the person that has a dog or a cat. Now we're talking about, what do you do with training? What do you do with all of these pieces? First and foremost, accept your pet the way they are. It'd be the same thing as you had a child. You're the dad or the mom, doesn't make a difference. You could be the great uncle and you're raising them. Everybody, every type of animal. We can have a list scientifically and say birds are all like this, parakeets are all like this, German shepherds are all like this. And that's not true. It's not true for anybody. Humans all do this. Yeah, probably not. Even we don't have that finite go-to. So what you have to do is you have to understand who you have, what their likes and dislikes aren't, and understand what scares them, what they like to do, what they like to eat. Let's say you have pets and both your cat and your dog are just going crazy for a Cool Whip. I can't imagine that's very healthy for them to eat. It's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of air. It's probably something we shouldn't eat, but we all do, especially if it's on something really fun. What you have to really watch with your pets is good dietary pieces, parts, what you feed them, even what you use when you're training. I know for us, we would put liver, a little piece of liver, not a whole piece. And the oil, all of that would be on my hand. And Jake, my German Shepherd, would come over and lick my whole hand because he's just sure he's going to find more. But you need that. I need you to focus to me. I need you to focus on me. And someday you might have, God forbid, a child or a pet run out in the street. The ball went there, or they're so excited about playing with you. You need to have a recall with your pet specifically. So what so many of the trainers, and I know for me, it worked really well with our shepherds when we had two, is to have a piece of bologna. It has lots of little greasy stuff or something small that I could keep like in a zippy bag in my pocket or something like that. But the smell is really, really appetizing to them. And I'm just giving a little. I'm not feeding the cats or the dogs or the birds or anything. We're trying to get them to focus on you and what you want to teach them and what you want to have as a coexistence, that you both are going to be able to do a recall. What that means is, my dog was named Jake, and I say, Jake, come. And he'd turn around instantly and come. Because 50% of the time, I'm going to have that little greasy thing to teach. Coming to me has perks. I'm going to pet you a lot. And he really loved being brushed. And I'm going to brush him. I'm going to give him a little, and I mean a little piece of bologna or something. And it's all positive. Someday, you might have thrown the ball and it went out into the street or some other absolutely dangerous place, and your dog is like, oh, I'm just going to go get the ball. That's what we do. I go get the ball. And you go, no. And you say, come. And they try to come or they don't, and they're trying to figure out what's different, but you know you heard a truck or a car coming down the street, and you're like, I need him to stop what he's doing right now. Because even if you can't get him to come back to you immediately, if you can get him on a sit stay, and that just means, nope, I would say to my Jake, I'd say, Jake, sit. And he'd down with the butt. A car can see a non-moving dog, and I can get there hopefully in a time. So hopefully I'm giving you enough tips to say, wait a minute, there's always a secondary or a first when you can figure out, how do I get them to not run in front of the cars? Well, you're going to keep training that at the sidewalk, at the end of the driveway, whatever you pick, this is no man's land. They're never, ever, ever, let's say, not allowed to go into the street unless they have their leash on. You can train this. You can teach it, not only to yourself, but your children, your family members that also might be out with the dog by themselves.
Woo! Lots of amazing information there. Thank you. Thank you. So you've talked about this before, and we're just going to kind of sum up some of these things. But if people are going to look to adopt, they really need to make a commitment, because you're bringing a family member into your home. And when you are bringing the family member into your home, you need to take care of this family member. And that's what we're talking about today, about being cognizant, being educated on some things that could be dangerous to your pet or to your dog. What are some other things that we need to be aware of when it comes to nature? Are there any other things out there that could be dangerous to a dog? For example, a snake, or taking your dog into a lake, or anything that might come to mind for you with nature and dogs?
Well, just thinking about your part of the world, it's all those iguanas. Everybody and their brother has said, oh no, this is a tropical place. We're going to just let them be free because they can run up the trees. They can do that. No, they're decimating all kinds of natural animals and birds and all that type of stuff. If you have, for example, if you're in a place where I grew up was a desert, literally, I grew up in a desert. And so what do you think, Dr. Jacalyn, a desert would have? Your area, you have all these iguanas. People keep letting them loose and snakes. What do you think our life in a desert would be dangerous for our pets to be out there walking around?
Scorpions.
Pardon me?
Scorpions.
Yep. And let's go a little bigger. Starts with an S.
Snakes.
The desert is covered in them. Absolutely. And we're talking about rattlers. We're talking about poisonous ones that bite you and you die. People, not as much, but they get really, really sick. You can kill a person, but we're not having that show. But with pets, especially people who say, oh no, he can just hang out in the backyard, or, oh no, I don't need to take him for walks, or, oh, I don't need to look on the ground behind the bush, behind the rock, because, it's too hot. They're snakes. Hot is okay, especially if they're native. what I think, Dr. Jacalyn, you have a problem in your area, and please correct me, but you have way too many people, because even in our area, in different parts of California, so many people are letting these pythons and these other pets, they get tired. They don't want to feed them anymore. A kid grew up and went to college. Whatever the reason is, they don't want it anymore, and they just let it go. No, it'll be fine. No, and then it eats too many birds because we got too many snakes for the birds, or all of that. And you have that problem in your area, don't you?
I don't know with that. I mean, we have a ton of iguanas,
There you go.
as you know, a
Yeah.
ton of lizards.
Yeah. And they're decimating the food source that anybody wild would be normally eating, that because you got 20,000 of them instead of the 4 or 5 that nature would have had those iguanas having babies. They have to have enough resources for the
Right.
mom to have a good birth. Everything is in a chain reaction. So please, 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 don't let your animals free. Find them a home, find them somebody who can adopt, find some way to either work with a trainer that helps you do better with your pet if you're tired, or just, something is not working for you guys. Find them a new home. There's a million different scenarios that we can all say, well, maybe it's time for me to, have a new home, or I need training because I don't know why they're doing this. I can't tell you how many times I hear about the cats scratching up the furniture, the dogs pooping on the floor, all these kind of things. Dr. Jacalyn, do you have any guesses? You'd love to play, my new client and say, I got a pet and they do any of these things. How do I fix it? Do you know how you'd fix it?
Get a trainer.
that you could do that, absolutely. And that's what we want to do. That's why this show is so important to me, and I really appreciate that you understand that, because you're around iguanas all the time and all these big animals that are running around because people have let them loose or whatever. But if you don't understand what a sit stay is and how important it is that your dog know how to do that. So a sit stay basically is just what I'm talking about. You say sit, and that butt goes to the ground, and they look so happy, because usually when you're teaching something, you want to make it fun. You want to make it interesting and have a little liver on your fingers or something. Because can you imagine what that stuff smells like to them? It's like, oh, great, we're having treats. And yet all it is maybe is teeny tiny little piece of meat on the tip of your finger, but the oils are on there, and it smells great because the animals definitely can smell it. And that is a great way to introduce concept, and getting your pet, cat or dog, lizard, good luck. And cats are a little tough there too. But if they can come to you when you call, and they can sit when you ask them to, and I don't care if they're next to you, that's where you start, or they're across the street from you, you will save your pet's life if you can get them trained at any distance. Just remember, start slow for both of you. Have a little something treaty. Please don't use ding dongs and toilet paper and any other kind of, bad thing for them. I've seen people use Cool Whip, and there's just a lot of sugar in there that their pet doesn't eat. But you can easily go get a little piece of chicken, or even dog food. It's got all kinds of great stuff, and it's meant to be consumed, but you're not feeding them. Remember, training is not about feeding them. It's about getting their attention. And what better way to get their attention with a little liver on your finger? You go, ooh, come here and bed, because eventually you'll be able to stop using the treats, whatever treat you decided on, because now they're like, oh, this is what we're doing. And a lot of pets can let the food go, because why? Dr. Jacalyn, do you have any idea why some pets eventually, because I don't want to ever say all, will listen to you, even though the liver's not on your finger, or you didn't bring any, Cool Whip or whatever your go-to was.
Because they love you.
And there's respect. It was fun. We did it together. I don't know about you, but I can't tell you when I rescued our German Shepherd. I've said this a bunch of times. We bought a house. He was in the back. The family had already moved, and there was a big giant septic tank hole. I mean, we're talking a 25, 30-foot hole, and this shepherd was running around. And I had 2 little kids under the age of 5. So it was a handful. But I started with liver. I started with chicken. Sometimes it was whatever I had in the house. Eventually, I would carry those stuff that you can get at the pet stores, and a little bit of whatever that was I was going to put on my finger. I would save chicken skin. Now, let me give you a caution about the skin of a chicken. It can be chokeable. It can be something that they don't bite up and then they choke on it. You must use small pieces. Beef, a little bit different. It comes apart differently. But chicken, depend. If you're using the skin, you got to cut it up. You got to. You don't want anybody choking on it. And then you got to know CPR for an animal and lots of things. Or God forbid, they get into it and you don't know it and they collapse outside and you don't see it for 12 hours, 6 hours, 2 hours, whatever. It can be life and death. So be really careful out there what you choose. Peanut butter, very low cost. And you put a little on a spoon or your finger and you get them. All this does is get them to focus on you. That's the only point I'm trying to make. When you train, when you're teaching, especially a new concept, like don't sit on the couch, especially with your muddy feet. You can train this. If your feet are muddy, you don't get to come in the house. And they are smart enough, animals are smart enough to go, oh, that's what that means. It's like, no, your muddy feet are not coming in the house. But you can give them a reward. And eventually, what your goal should be is the reward leaves and the behavior becomes every day. This is what we do. You wipe your feet before you come in. I've seen people and their kids do this with their dogs outside. And the dogs go, oh, this is what the family does. This is what the pack does. We do this thing on the mat. And then we can come in. If you're constant, if you're fair but firm, it is a good situation for your pets because the constant reinformation on all of this is the same. Oh, we all do that. Oh, we all do that. Oh, we got a new animal. What we all do that. Just think about how neat and nice it would be if our parents always discipline exactly the same way. Now, I don't mean, like I know in my house, my brother got disciplined totally different than the rest of us. We were all sisters. There's 4 of us. And we were different. And my parents treated us that way. They went up and talked to us, or they said, nope, sorry, you can't go. You can't do this or this, and this is why. Animals, you can't actually maybe verbalize it as it seems like with people, but you can when your energy and your abilities to train are in a positive way. So you always give him a treat when he sits, when you ask, because animals understand the hard consonant. Does that make sense, Dr. Jacalyn, or should I explain what a hard consonant is?
I think you should explain it. Go ahead.
Okay, so at the beginning of a sentence or something, you've got a capital letter, and then you got little letters. You've got T's and K's and I's. And these words like come. The hard letter is the C, and the M kind of follows up. But you say come, and you let it go. And you look, and you go, yep, come on. But you have to teach what is come. It's a very specific sounding word to them. So you back it up with, hey, come on, come on, come on, come on. You start that way and you get down to come. without a treat. But to teach this, you can easily get a piece of liver, cut it all up, and a little bit, get it dry. When you use fresh meat, you tend to get a faster reaction because it's much more yummy smell as opposed to a dry one. But that's kind of hard to carry around. They make little pouches for trainers and people who are training that you can just wear. And just think of it this way. It's a fanny pack. It's a small fanny pack. And you could put either a Ziploc bag of meat, because of course you don't want to get anybody sick, or something with dry liver or dry treats that you can go in, and you find what they really love, and guess how motivated your animals are. These are really important things. What I want to make sure that we all hear is that foxglove grow on trees, and they look like little round yellow balls. And what they are, they have this, and they, of course, they have the big maple leaf on them. That's two very common traits for a tree that has foxglove. I am unfortunate to have a giant one on the front of my house, and I'm constantly trying to get all their seeds out of my plants or off the steps. What happens with foxglove is it will burrow under the skin, and you won't see it until possibly it's in their heart. And if you can't imagine, that's not where anything should be but your heart and the blood and the blood that it needs. But with pets, if they start chewing on their feet, please, please, please either soak their feet and have a good look at them. And why I said soak them is so that hopefully if the foxglove is any kind of still in or out, a little bit out, you can get it wet and hopefully make that seed, that weed expand so it's easier to dig out and get. But foxgloves can kill. I want to be really, really clear. Can kill it. Please. That's the thing I want you to all walk away. If you don't check your pet's paws, ears, back, brush them through when they come back from a walk, you always could be at risk for a pet that dies because you didn't know. So again, do the easy thing. Brush them down. Your relationship will get better because the dog's going to love it. You brush your cat down, whoever's going in and out of the house. Don't brush your kids. Maybe don't do that. But foxglove can get in people's hands. So
Yes.
maybe check your people's hands, and it's going to be just a little bump. But for most of us, we'll go, ow, mom, this hurts. Dad, come and dig this out of my hand. So I did that with a cactus in Arizona. We were playing a game in the dark, tag something, and I came back and I touched something. I went, ow, why my hand hurt? So I got in the light. I had a giant cactus thorn.
Oh,
and my dad said, oh, we're going to have to pull that out. And I'm like, no, I better just live this way. Every child says that. And he pulled it out, and then I had to have antibiotics and all kinds of things because it was infected. And that's what I'm trying everybody to get. Foxgloves can kill. It's just not messy. It's dangerous.
Thank you again for sharing that information, for all the brilliance you bring to our channel every single week. We have to sign off for now, but for people who want to reach out to you, we've been showing your banner information regularly. Where would you like people to go to reach out and connect?
bridgingworlds.us. I try to make this super simple. My whole medium for the world is to be that bridge. I've got a whole lifetime of experience, not only having pets, but also studying as an animal science was my major in college, and public speaking, believe it or not. And I got an award for that. So I want everybody to know that I'm here to support you as a pet owner, and you can do better, especially when you have support. Right, Dr. Jacalyn? What I saw you with this show is you did it all by yourself. And you were pretty tired, I'm sure, at a certain place. We don't have to do that. You've brought all of us experts into your channel, so we all can put out that support for everybody wherever you are. We want to give you that free advice and say, hey, we've got your back. Here's some tips. Find out what works. And that, I believe, are all the guest hosts you have. We all have so much knowledge. And thank you so much for giving us a place to share it.
You are more than welcome. Thank you very much. And thank everybody for watching all week long and all year so far. We really appreciate you. We're going to sign off for now, and we'll look forward to seeing you back for our next show. Everybody take good care. Bye.
Bye.